Fight Fiend Forecast. I'm Joseph, the host, back for the full card predictions for UFC 301. It's going down in Brazil, and we're getting after some big bags. I expect us to win some big bets this weekend in Brazil, and I see a lot of bangers on this card. I see a lot of big favorites, but we're going to get after it, and we're not going to waste your time any longer. We're going to start it off with the first fight of the night. We got a Brazilian. We got many Brazilians on this card. And not all of them are going to win. That's just what it is. You're not going to see every single Brazilian win on this card. But most of them are going to win. A lot of them are slight favorites. Some of them are priced correctly, some incorrectly. Now, the first fight of the night that we're going to talk about, Alexandre Costa versus Kevin Borjas from Peru. This fight here, it's priced correctly. Alexandre Costa should be a slight favorite. He's fought the much better competition. His only two losses come to Steve Erceg, who's in the main event challenging Alexander Pantoja for the flyweight championship by a decision. He only lost by a decision to Steve Erceg, but he got knocked out to Amir Albazi in the third round. Albazi's 15-1. Both those guys are very high level in the flyweight division. Kevin Borjas has not fought that level of competition, and that's what it's going to come down to. He's a little bit green. Both these guys are around the same age. Borjas is 26. Costa's coming in here at 28 years old. And when I was looking at Costa, doing some research here, he's training with Diego Lopez as well. Lopez is a absolute killer, and he's a guy that was a former lock of the week for me. He did nothing but win me some big money, and I really expect Alexandre Costa to come out here and cover as a slight favorite. I love the price. Training with Lobo Gym and the Brazilian Warriors down there. He's getting a ton of training in. High-level training, too. It's not just with a bunch of bums. He's putting in the work, but I expect him to win a decision here. You see him winning 4 fights by knockout, 6 by submission, and only 3 by a decision. His most recent decision win was against an opponent that was 12-0. That was a very good win there. Kevin Borjas just went the distance with Joshua Van. Van's 8-1. I had Joshua Van in that fight with high confidence, and Van, made the fight close in the first round, and then took advantage of the grappling, got some takedowns, control time, and just wore down Kevin Borjas. Borjas, in the grappling department, struggles. I expect him to struggle once again in Brazil against a guy that has been training with an absolute killer, Diego Lopez. He's just getting in much better rounds in the gym. Lobo Gym has him ready to go here in this fight in Brazil. It has to be favored for him to win. He is a slight favorite, I have to agree. And I'm going to look to put him in a parlay, potentially. I was going to think about making him a lock of the week. I'm pretty high confidence on this pick as well. Looking at Kevin Borjas, he has 8 knockouts. That's his only way to win. It's a puncher's chance for him, but his knockout wins are 8-4, 9-5, 0-0. I just don't love his last 3 opponents that he knocked out. I don't think they're that high level. On the Contender Series, he went the distance with a guy that was 11-2. He takes a step up in competition. It's a lot tougher for him. On the Contender Series, he was there 8 months ago, and Costa has been here fighting Albazi, Steve Erceg, training at Lobo Gym, and he has good wins as well. Knocked out Jimmy Flick. I know Jimmy Flick doesn't have a great chin. I don't expect the knockout in this fight. Jimmy Flick's 16-6 and has been knocked out a couple times. I don't expect Borjas to get knocked out. Borjas should be durable enough to last 15 minutes with this Brazilian. On the ground, though, Borjas does have 1 submission loss. That was back in 2019 to an opponent that was 13-6. So I could see a submission for Alexandre Costa, not just a clean decision win for him. He has 6 submissions, most of them by armbar. 4 by armbar, 1 by a flying armbar. He's dangerous on the ground as well. Like I said, training with Diego Lopez, who has a lot of finishes as well. Teaching the young buck a bunch of new tricks. I expect Costa to improve significantly in this fight. We're going to see it. It's the first fight of the night, and I expect you not to miss it. I'm going with the Brazilian in this one for sure. I expect it to be a decision, but like I said, he could get the submission. And the next fight of the night we're breaking down here is another Brazilian who was a little bit overhyped coming in, Ismael Bonfim, and he's fighting Vinc from hell, Pichel. And I mean, Vince, he's been canceling his last couple fights. I don't really have a reason behind that. His last 3 fights were canceled. That's a little concerning. He's going to have some ring rust. His last fight was 2 years ago. I mean, can you trust a guy that fought 2 years ago against Mark Madsen and lost the decision, got taken down and controlled, gave the judges no reason to give him a win, even a round in that fight. I don't think he won a goddamn round. He is tough. He is durable. He has some good wins as well. I was looking at his wins. I noted them here. Joaquim Silva was 10-0, beat him by a decision. When Roosevelt Roberts was undefeated, 8-0, beat him as well. These are back in 2018, 2019. So we have to look back a couple years if you want to see some wins for Vince from Hell. His other big win was against Jim Miller in 2020. That was still 4 years ago. I mean, like, he hasn't won recently. 8 knockout wins as well, but 6 of them in the second round in 2009 to 2011. These are not recent wins for Vince from Hell. And at his age, 41 years old, he's just going to be a lot slower, making him inaccurate. Low volume. I expect Ismael Bonfim to do something crazy in this fight. You've seen him knock out Terrence McKinney, another crazy fighter, guns a-blazing in the first round. And then right into the second round, very start of the second round, Ismael Bonfim capitalized, found that crazy flying knee. He doesn't have the most impressive wins other than Terrence McKinney when you're looking at his knockouts. I mean, he knocked out a guy that was 19-9 in the first round, a guy that was 7-7, making easy work of his opponents. I expect him to be much more accurate, powerful, and quicker in this fight. Like, there's no way he's going to lose. He's a huge favorite. I would think that it would be smart not to load up on him by a finish, though. Vince from Hell is tough. I'll give him that. I actually have Ismael Bonfim by a decision on my picks right now. That's how I see it going. He has 6 decision wins as well. You got to look at his Dana White Contender Series fight where he went the distance against a guy that was 28-3. He made that competitive. I could see this fight being pretty competitive as well, although Bonfim is a huge favorite. You know he can get the knockout at any point. But with that being said, I don't know if he can. Vince from Hell has only been knocked out once to a guy that was 14-1, and that was back in 2012. His most recent loss was to Mark Madsen, like I said, 2 years ago by a decision. And then he was submitted to Gregor Gillespie, who was undefeated in the second round. No shame in that loss. I don't see Ismael Bonfim getting a submission win, given the fact that his last submission win was in 2019 against a guy that was 3-2. I don't think Bonfim is that great on the ground. He needs to keep this fight on the feet and look for a knockout and get it done by a decision with more volume and more accuracy, being way faster. He's fucking 13 years younger. If he loses this fight, the Bonfim brothers are bums, and this is the official fraud check for Ismael Bonfim, because his loss to Benoit Saint-Denis honestly isn't that bad. 4 months ago in the first round, got caught in the submission. He got submitted to Renato Moicano as well. Looking at his losses, he's never been really fraud checked yet. But if he loses to Vince from Hell Pichel, I would consider that a fraud check. You gotta go with Ismael Bonfim for the win in Brazil here. And we're breaking down the next fight on the prelims. And we got Dione Barbosa and Ernesta Kareckaite, heavy-handed girl here from Lithuania. 3 inches taller, 5-inch reach advantage. And she's a plus 180 underdog. Like, I gotta take my glasses off to see this right. Like, maybe I put the odds in wrong, but I think it's correct. Ernesta is 5-0-1, coming off a big win on the Contender Series. So is Barbosa. Both these girls coming off the Contender Series. This should be nowhere near a pay-per-view or a main card. It belongs in Dana White's backyard, that's for sure. I don't know how this fight made it to UFC 301 in Brazil, but it's here and we got to break it down. And I'm just shocked by the odds here. I must have done my research wrong, or I'm going to prove that the bookies have this fight priced wrong, because Ernesta has that 5-inch reach advantage. She's 6 years younger. With kickboxing and boxing experience, I expect her to be the heavy hitter in this fight with more power, accuracy. I mean, on the feet, if she wins it there, it's going to be obvious that the judges are going to pick her to win. The judges are not siding with the wrestlers. If she's going to be the better striker in this fight, I got to pick her to win, especially as the underdog. The wrestlers are not winning. The grapplers are not winning. I haven't seen a fighter get credited for their takedowns in control time recently. I don't think there's going to be a big crowd. Third fight in here. And it's a women's fight. It's not going to be that exciting. Let's be honest. These girls are coming off the Contender Series, right? They're fighting pretty low-level competition, both of them. You can't give either of them much credit. Maybe Ernesta, because she went 15 minutes and we've seen more from her. Looking at Barbosa, she only went less than 5 minutes on the Contender Series. Like, that is not enough ring time for me to pick her to win. Maybe she comes in here and gets the submission, because Ernesta is one-dimensional. She has 2 knockout wins and 3 decision wins. We aren't really sure if she can defend all the takedowns, but at plus 180, I'll take the chance and risk it for the biscuit here. Ernesta is undefeated. I expect her to remain undefeated, although she is in enemy territory. I love the price, plus 180. I'll probably have a little sprinkle on it, little degenerate action there. It's a women's fight. If you're going to make a bet, you might as well go with underdog, especially if you think it's going to be close. If you think the favorite's going to win and you're parlaying her, I mean, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. And the next fight on the prelims, we got another Dana White's Contender Series fighter coming in here, making his debut against a guy that has some UFC experience and has been knocked out a few times, Jamie Mullarkey. And he's fighting the newcomer from Brazil, Mauricio Ruffy. He looked really good on the Contender Series, got the 3rd round knockout, but his level of competition prior to that, I mean, pretty sus. 41-8, 4-3, 11-6, 0-1, all knockout wins. Has only been knocked out once to a guy that was 3-0 in 2019. He's training at Fighting Nerds. I mean, he won his last 4 fights. He has momentum, but his level of competition is certainly questionable. I don't know if I can trust it, to be honest with you. It's like Jamie Mullarkey, as an underdog, plus 164, is going to fight for your money. I could almost guarantee that. He has heart, but sometimes he thinks he's too strong for his own good. Like, he's going to walk through shots and potentially get knocked out. Ruffy has that kind of rough style that he will fucking buckle down and throw bombs. Like, he's not afraid either. You've seen him knocked out once before in 2019, but Mullarkey has been knocked out fucking 5 times. He got knocked out to Jalen Turner, Muhammad Naimov, and Nasrat Hakparas in his last fight. He's taken a ton of damage. His chin is comparable to glass. And I'm not going to get caught chasing this underdog. Like, I just can't do it. I don't love the big odds here for Mauricio Ruffy, but I will take him as a pick and probably do nothing with it. I'm not going to look to bet it, put money on it. You know, he's coming off a Contender Series win against a Russian that probably isn't even that good anyways. I'm just going to take a chance here and hope he gets the knockout as my pick. Like, I don't have a ton of confidence in it. I'm not going to put any money on it. I don't recommend you to do that at all. Just because he's from Brazil and will have the crowd in his favor and has 9 wins and 9 knockouts doesn't mean it's a lock-in play. I'm going to have to see some juicy odds to even consider playing him by knockout in this fight. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be a gamble. And it's definitely not a for sure thing. And the next fight on the prelims, we got Joaquim Silva and Drakkar Klose. And this fight isn't going to be as close as the other fight, in my opinion. I think Drakkar Klose, at 36 years old, is the better fighter. Silva's 35. He looked good against Arman Tsarukyan. Showed his power. He beat Clay Guida in his last one. And he actually only has 2 other decision wins. He actually has 7 knockouts and 3 submissions, so you know, he's not just a decision dominator, but at 35, he is going to go the distance. You know, he's not a young buck anymore, and I don't think his power is going to be there. You know, there's a chance it'll be there, but he just can't finish the job. His most recent knockout win was against Jesse Ronson, who's 21-11. Before that, it was against Jared Gordon a couple years ago. Like, I'm not trusting him to get a knockout in this fight. I know, once again, the crowd might be cheering for him, but it's still on the prelims. The crowd's just going to be, you know, filling in for the end of the prelims, start of the main card. Like, they don't really care about the first 4 or 5 fights. And I don't think many Brazilians are coming out to watch Joaquim Silva here. Like, he's not the biggest Brazilian on this card, and he's certainly not one that people are going to be looking to bet, especially at plus 150. People are closing in and figuring out that Drakkar Klose is the rightful favorite. They're putting money on it. They're putting them in parlays and stuff like that. Coming off a big win in the first round against Joe Selecki. I mean, fucking right. Let's do it. I mean, I think he's going to win as well. High confidence pick for me. He has 6 knockouts and 8 decisions. But looking at his knockout wins, 4 of them were in 2015. So he only has 2 knockouts recently. One of them was a somewhat lucky knockout slam. Don't expect that to happen again. So I'm going to lean Drakkar Klose by a dominant decision in this fight, being the better striker with the better gas tank, better accuracy. When you're looking at the accuracy percentage of these two fighters, it kind of blows your mind. I mean, Drakkar Klose has a 55% strike accuracy versus Silva's 40% accuracy. It's a clear pick for me, Drakkar Klose, for the dub. And if you have not yet, please smash the hell out of that like button and suplex the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I'm doing fight predictions each and every week. This week I'm a little bit late, I'm a little bit behind, but we're still getting some big bags here in Brazil. Let's get right to it. We got João Silva as a slight favorite against William Gomis. And fuck, I don't like William Gomis that much. This guy is a France fighter. All these guys fight the same. It's boring as shit. You know, low volume with fucking a very high accuracy and a great striking defense. He's going to be hard to hit. At 6 feet, he cuts a lot of weight. And he has a 4-inch reach advantage as well. And he possesses that reach advantage against most fighters in the division at featherweight. So, a little bit unfair, but it's going to catch up with him. He's 26. He's getting older. It's going to get tougher for him to cut weight. And this could be the fight in Brazil. It's tough for him to cut weight. He looks a lot sloppier, and he starts to get hit a lot more. João Silva is going to walk him down, push forward, and grind this fight out. Now, late in this fight, I could see a finish for Silva on the feet. I think he knocks him out late. If not, the judges will give him the fight. A little bit biased, you know. They're going to be a little bit biased on some fights, and this is one that it's like screaming at me, like, the judges are going to be biased on this one. The judges are going to be biased. Like, it's just screaming in my ear here. Let's bring that number down for João Silva. Let's put some bets on him because this is a great price. He's a slight favorite. Some people aren't going to agree. A lot of people are not going to agree. William Gomis has fought probably the better competition. It looks better on paper, but the fact that João Silva's fight style is going to clash very, very bad with William Gomis' fight style is going to outshine William Gomis' level of competition. He won 3 fights in the UFC. He's due for a loss here. Francis Marshall, that was a great win. Jarno Aaron's another great win there. But in every fight, he had moments that he didn't look the best. And in a fight where João Silva will bring the fight to him for 15 minutes, will have cardio for 15 minutes, and will fight like a dog, will fight for your money for every second of this fight, I mean, I'm taking the Brazilian in this one. I'm not going to take every Brazilian on this card. I already went against a couple, but in this fight here, I got to think if it goes the distance, the judges will be a little bit biased, and they're going to give João Silva the win. And that's if his forward pressure doesn't break William Gomis by the end of the fight here. Gomis has 2 losses, one by submission to Morgan Charrier back in 2016, and has 1 decision loss in his pro debut. He's long overdue for a loss, and how great would it be to have this fight prediction absolutely correct in Brazil, taking the Brazilian, going against a fighter that I really do not like, and somehow the dude is on a 11 fight win streak, and no one can find a win against him. But the forecast is predicting João Silva in this fight. I gotta think the money coming in is abso-fucking-lutely correct. And the next fight on the prelims, we got another fight that I have high confidence in. I'm going with the Brazilian in this one. Elves Brener, plus 200. I'm getting after it. Myktybek Orolbai is 12-1-1, and his level of fucking competition is fucking ass. The dude is a bum. He knocked out a guy that was 18-14, 10-7. Yeah, he submitted Euros Medic 9-1 there a couple months ago, but he was stepping in on short notice. Medic said publicly he did not train at all for grappling in that fight. He didn't train for takedown defense, anything like that. The fight was completely unexpected. He felt pretty bad about taking the fight as well, He lost, got his second ever career loss, and Myktybek Orolbai's stock absolutely rose. People are oversold on him. They're overhyping him up. And the bookies are fucking agreeing 100%. 3-1 favorite for him is insane in my opinion. Like I said, he knocked out a guy that was fucking 18-14 and 10-7 prior to the UFC. He won his last 11 fights, but his one decision win isn't going to help him here. If it goes late, you've seen Elves Brener grind and dig deep, knocking out fucking Gram Kutaladze. That was a big win. His next fight, a good prospect, Kyan Krucheski, knocked him out in the very first round, made easy work of that guy, chewed him up, spit him out. And Myktybek Orolbai, like I said, on the feet, I just don't trust it whatsoever. His level of competition is ass. This guy could very well be a bum. With only having one fight in the UFC on short notice, he didn't prove enough to me. I'm not sold on him yet. I'm going with underdog 100%. There is a chance I'm completely wrong and Myktybek is a monster and destroys Brener in this fight. He is 3-1. People believe in him, but I'm thinking he's overvalued. That's what I'm forecasting with fairly high confidence. Lock in Elves Brener's dog of the week here. His last 2 wins come by knockout. If he doesn't find a knockout finish, he could win a decision. At plus 200, I'm not looking to really shoot at much props here. I'm just looking for the win, and Elves Brener, I expect him to get it. He has tons of momentum right now, and he is the showcase of the week. I got his 1 of 10 card. I pulled that on one of the UFC card videos, and that was a sign months ago that this guy is going to continue to win me some big bags. Let's get it, Elves Brener. It's time to go, baby. It's time to go. And the second last fight I'm breaking down on the prelims is Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Iasmin Lucindo. And at this price, 4-1, Lucindo is overvalued as well. Unfortunately, the Brazilians must be betting fucking heavy on their Brazilians here because Karolina has fought great competition. She's 38. She's getting a bit slow, but she's still winning fights. Diana Belbita, Vanessa Demopoulos. I mean, she is still putting in good work against girls that can grind fights out. Iasmin Lucindo is still a bit green, in my opinion. She lost to fucking Yasmin Jauregui there not too long ago. I mean, she has holes in her game. She's stepping in against a girl with a lot of experience who has seen a lot of pay-per-view time. I just have a weird feeling that this underdog potentially wins the decision here. The judges could make it greasy. Lucindo could win the decision. Lucindo could also prove that being 16 years younger, it's a young girl's sport now. And she could absolutely fucking dominate. 16 years is a massive age difference, but I'm going to lean more towards the side that it's going to help Karolina in this fight. 16 years older, that's more experience. She's fought way higher level girls. She knows how to win fights. She knows how to dig deep in the second and third round. She has a great cardio. She has no problem cutting weight, anything like that. I mean, the game plan should be pretty clear from her coaches. It should be a 50-50 coin flip. That is my honest truth. And given that fact, I mean, I'm going Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
English, motherfucker, do you
However,
speak it?
you pronounce her name correctly. Just take that plus 300 and thank me later. That's all you gotta do. It's a low-level women's fight. Just like the other girls' fight that's low-level on this card, I'm taking the underdog, and I'm getting some big bags. So are you with me? Or are you taking the big favorite, and are you gonna get burned? Because if fucking Lucindo loses as a 4-1 favorite, you're gonna not only be pissed off with yourself, but you're gonna have to come here to say, I told you so. That's what you're gonna have to do. So if either of these big women's favorites get burned, come back here and let me know I was right, because calling these two women's underdogs deserve some credit if they cash in. Let's get after it. I want some big bags. I'm not getting tricked by these bookies. There's no fucking way in hell. Not today. And next up, we got Joanderson Brito to finish off the prelim predictions against Jack Shore, 17-1 from Wales. He's been decent inside of the UFC, winning 3 decisions before his first loss. He beat Ludovic Shalinian, Hunter Azure, and Timur Valiev. So 3 good decision wins. His loss was to Ricky Simone in the second round by arm triangle choke. And then his last fight, he found a submission of his own against Mokwin Murakami. Joanderson just fought a high-level opponent in Jonathan Pierce. He proved in that fight he's capable of more on the ground. Jonathan Pierce is a tougher matchup than Mokwin Murakami. Joanderson Brito has fought the better competition. He's going to prove it in this fight, give Jack Shore his second ever loss. Brazil is coming to get some big bags. They're going to get a lot of wins on this card, but I'm telling you, some Brazilians are not going to win. You cannot take every single one of them blindly, but you can certainly tell after doing the research and listen to a couple people's picks what Brazilians you can lock in, right? So Joanderson Brito is a high confidence pick for me. I expect him to get the finish at some point in this fight. Jack Shore has 1 loss. It was by submission. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got submitted again. I'm telling you. Joanderson Brito is a lot better on the ground than Jack Shore. And on the feet, I mean, he's going to be levels ahead of Jack Shore. And now it's time to run through the main card of UFC 301. Starting it off with a 5-1 favorite. And we got 3 of them. 3 5-1 favorites on the main card. So if anyone's taking a big underdog and they cash, congrats in advance to you, because there's no way I'm taking a long shot bet on any of these underdogs. Especially fucking Paul Craig, Bear Jew, against Caio Berhallo. And here's why. 5 years younger is Berhallo with the much better durability. He hasn't worn as much damage as Paul Craig. He hasn't been knocked out as many times. And his fighting spirit will push him forward through this fight. I think he can survive through anything Paul Craig tries to throw at him. Paul Craig likes to sit in his guard, throw up submission attempts. He's usually inaccurate. Sometimes he gets a Hail Mary one, but against Caio Berhallo, who has great submission defense, has great submissions of his own, I think he's going to dominate. You see him win a lot of decisions with his grappling, controlled time, and just outpointing fighters on the feet. I think he does the same against Paul Craig. I've been a fan of Paul Craig in the past. I've bet on him. I've taken him as an underdog. I see him at plus 400, and I really don't get intrigued. It does not faze me. I don't care. I still don't think he's going to win. I mean, Andre Muniz got knocked out to Paul Craig. Shocked the world there. Paul Craig showed us that he has some power on the feet. Now, there is a world that he comes out here and gets the knockout against Caio Berhallo, who lacks some striking fundamentals. But I just don't see that happening. For the life of me, I can't see that happening. And it is unfortunate because how in the world can I play Caio Berhallo with low confidence as a 5-1 fucking favorite? You know I'm not going to play this on parlays. You know I'm not going to bet this or lock it in. It's a pick. My pick's Caio Berhallo by a decision. It's not the most exciting prediction, but that's how I see it. I'm going to be honest on each and every fight. I'm not chasing underdogs for the hell of it. I'm not going to make my money by betting on these big underdogs that I think have really no chance of winning, or really a puncher's chance of winning, you know what I mean? I want to bet strategically, and I want to expect to win my bet when I make my bets, not just be gambling and being a fucking degenerate. Paul Craig is definitely, in my opinion, a degenerate bet this weekend. I wouldn't advise it. But if I'm wrong, come back in the comment section and give me hell, because Paul Craig could easily prove me wrong and produce some big bags here in Brazil as a plus 400 underdog. I just don't foresee it happening, but if you do, and if you get those big bags, let me know in the comments, because that is a great prediction if you take Paul Craig by a finish in this fight. Credit to you in advance, once again, if that hits. I don't expect it to, though. And the next fight on the main card, we got another banger fight between Mikel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. And this is another 5-1 favorite here. The Brazilian favored 5-1. Clear pick. He's going to win. He's going to finish Potieria in the very first round. He has 5 losses. 4 of them come by knockout. 2 of them in the first round. I don't think Pereira is going to struggle in this fight at all. He's going to pin the tail on the donkey and send Ihor home packing. That's my prediction. If you don't know, now you know. Mikel Pereira has the experience to win this fight super easily. He has fought the much higher level competition. In his last fight, Mikel Olazechuk was submitted in the very first round. Before that, Pereira found the knockout win. Before that, he had a submission. Before that, he had a knockout. He's bouncing back and forth. So I'd play it finish to be safe. But I do see it happening in the very first round. It's going to be easy work, pinning the tail on the donkey here. Ihor, in my opinion, potentially doesn't belong inside the UFC. He's not UFC caliber. He got knocked out to Carlos Olberg in the first round. He got knocked out to Rodolfo Bellato in the second round. He only knocked out Shogun Rua, who was very old at the time, in the first round. His last fight, he won a decision against like a guy that was too big of a favorite with absolutely no UFC experience. People were just sold on Robert Brysick, and he failed miserably against Ihor Potieria. Pereira is just such a fucking easy pick in this fight. It's going to be a first round finish. That's how I'm going to attack the props in this fight. I mean, that's where the value is going to be. There is a chance he gets it into the second round and finds a finish, but on the main card, the fans will be activated, loud, roaring, going crazy. And this guy, Mikel Pereira, is a crazy fighter. He has so many different techniques. His style is hard to comprehend at times. Ihor is going to get caught in something in the very first round. 5 minutes in, Pereira finds a submission or finds a knockout on this guy. It's cut and dry. I'm just going to be rambling on if I talk any longer. Like, I don't see anything else happening in this fight. Pereira by finish will be a lock prop of the card for sure. I don't even think it'll be plus money. I'm saying that right now. So Pereira by finish at plus money. If we can get it, we're going to get paid. But there's no way in hell we're getting that at plus money. And that's just what it is. And unfortunately, I got to break down another 5-1 favorite. And it sucks because it's not very entertaining listening to me just give you a pick on a 5-1 favorite that's expected to win by every single capper you're going to listen to. Like I said, if you're going to attack the props, you could go Kai Brahalo by a decision, Mikel Pereira by a first round finish, or by finish, however you want to attack it. Maybe you like the knockout prediction there, or maybe you think he's going to get the club and sub. However you want to attack the fight, I don't know. First round or by finish would be my play there. Under 2.5 is another sharp play. I don't mind playing the unders and overs on some of these fights as well. But in this fight here, Vitor Petrino, I mean, I can't really tell if he's going to get the knockout or is he just going to win a decision. Anthony Smith has been knocked out 10 times. His last fight in the third round got knocked out to Khalil Roundtree. He eventually wore down and got knocked out now. I kind of see the same thing happening. He's going to get wore down and eventually get knocked out in the second or third round. Vitor Petrino has power. He has the youth, cardio as well. He's not going to gas out. I haven't seen him gas out yet. He looked good against Tyson Pedro. When that fight went the distance, he looked good against the pleasure man, Anton Turkalj. That fight went the distance as well. So Petrino hasn't just been knocking guys out. He hasn't been club and subbing guys that easily. It only happened once against Marcin Prachnio, and that was late in the third round. So in this fight, the decision is a lot liver than people expect. But maybe people are expecting it, though, because he already has 2 decision wins. He already showed that the finish for him isn't going to be that easy. You know, there's a chance he gets the counter shot. He is way more powerful, and one of the intangibles in this fight is Anthony Smith has been knocked out 10 times. So you cannot control that Anthony Smith is slowing down, isn't as durable as he used to be, and probably can't take much damage from a heavy hitter like Vitor Petrino. Now, the crowd's going to be in Vitor's favor. the crowd is going to be getting pretty loud at this point in the card. I mean, there's only 2 more fights left to predict after this one. So, Petrino, with the momentum, with the crowd in his favor, I expect him to dominate. And if he doesn't, whoever's taking Anthony Smith is going to get some big bags because he's plus 380, and I'm forecasting him not to win. So, unfortunately, I'm giving you another big favorite, but he should be safe to parlay, and he shouldn't drop the bag in this fight. If you want some value, like I said, it's going to be very, very tough to find it in this fight. He could win the decision. He could get the finish, but if he's going to get the finish, it's going to be by knockout, and it's going to be in the 2nd or 3rd round. So with that being said, I will pick Vitor Petrino by a unanimous decision in this fight. And now I'm breaking down the co-main event between Jonathan Martinez and Jose Aldo. Returning to the octagon at 37 years old. He's been staying active, winning 3 decisions outside of the UFC, not in MMA, just in boxing and stuff like that. But he's keeping active. Jose Aldo has something to prove in this fight. They're giving him a chance in a co-main event fight in Brazil, right? So at plus 130, I think the bookies have it priced right. It's hard not to appreciate what Jose Aldo has done throughout his career. His credentials are through the roof. And you got to think, with his experience, he can shut down the leg kicks of Jonathan Martinez. If he does, he's going to have more accurate strikes. He's going to throw with more volume. He knows how to win a decision. He's won many decisions before. He beat Rob Font by a decision, Pedro Munoz by a decision. He beat Marlon Vera by a decision. All unanimous decisions as well. Like, he didn't even make the fight close. He landed more. He made the other fighter inaccurate. He's going to make Jonathan Martinez miss a lot in this fight. That's my opinion. That's my honest opinion. Now, I'm not just siding with the Brazilian OG Jose Aldo because he's a plus 130 dog. I truly do see the value in Jose Aldo in this fight. I think he's going to shut down the leg kicks. I think he's going to make Martinez miss a bunch. He's going to have more volume, be more accurate, and win this fight by a decision. 15-minute war. I love the matchup. And I'm glad Jose Aldo gets a chance to return and be victorious in front of his Brazilian fans. They're going to be super fucking loud in this fight. How can they not be? Jose Aldo is returning. And I don't think he's returning to lose. He's coming off a loss to Merab Dvalishvili, which gave him a ton of experience, where he couldn't get his fucking strikes going. Merab kept shooting takedowns, kept being super relentless and aggressive. Martinez will not have that kind of pressure that Merab had. He just won't. He cannot keep that cardio going for 15 minutes. Merab has the best cardio in the entire division. This is a huge step down for Jose Aldo. Martinez has some big wins. Adrian Yanez, Cub Swanson, Said Nurmagomedov. But for him, this is a step up. It wouldn't shock me if he won this fight. He's expected to win. He is the favorite. But I can't ignore the plus 130 for Jose Aldo. I'm taking the underdog. The OG is returning for a win. And now I got the main event prediction for you guys. It's one of my locks of the week. Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg, who has only been in the UFC now for 3 fights. I mean, he knocked out Matt Schnell in his last fight in the 2nd round, which I guess is very, very deserving of a title shot against Pantoja. I don't know how that's deserving of a title shot at all. He beat Alessandro Costa as well by unanimous decision. He hasn't even fought guys in the top 5, top 10 yet. He did beat David Dvorak, who's 20-5, beat him by a decision in his debut. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's at the caliber of some of these flyweights. He hasn't fought Brandon Royval. He hasn't fought Brandon Moreno. And now he has to fight Pantoja. Like, Pantoja is an absolute monster. Won his last 5 fights. Last 2 wins were by a decision. But he did submit Alex Perez in the 1st round by rear naked choke. He submitted Brandon Royval in their first fight in the 2nd round by rear naked choke. I have a spider sensey feeling that Alexandre Pantoja is coming in here for a submission win. You've seen his last 2 fights went the distance. This one, I think the UFC sets him up for a clean win where he gets a finish. He's 34. He's going to have that belt for a couple more fights, and this is one where they're giving him a winnable fight. There's no doubt about it. Erceg has only been in the UFC for 3 fights now. I'm not convinced that he's top 3, top 5 in the UFC. I would maybe give him top 10 in the UFC flyweight division. And the fact that he's fighting Pantoja this quick, I don't think it's going to help him out. He's fucking 6 years younger. He's still a young guy in his career. He has a chance at being a champion someday, but this is not the time, especially not in Brazil. The time is Alexandre Pantoja for the win, lock of the goddamn week. That's what it is, 153. I got another lock for you, and it's on Patreon right now, along with my 2 dogs of the week. I got 2 locks and 2 dogs this week. I'm going to give them out on the Friday show, the Props and Parlay show. I'm not going to give out the big secret on who they are yet because you should be joining Discord absolutely free to get that free access, because I post the locks with full descriptions in there and the dogs of the week with full descriptions in there. Those will be posted later today. And for $5 a month, you get full access to my locks, dogs, props of the week, all my bets, the platinum picks with the confidence levels, method of victories, the line movement tracker, which is updated throughout the week, showing you the money coming in on these fighters, which fighters seeing the love. So, I mean, for $5 a month, that is not too big of a price tag for early access to the locks of the week, which are on an absolute heater right now. I hit my last 5. I got 2 locked in for this card at plus 155. You already know, if you listen to the entire prediction show, that Pantoja in this last prediction was my most confident pick probably on the entire card. I think he's set up to beat Steve Erceg dominantly in Brazil. It's clear as day to me, and there's no doubt in my mind that it will shine on Saturday for the forecasters. So make sure you come back on Friday, see my props of the week, and you see the forecast of the week. I got forecasters commenting their most confident prop at plus money. Last week I had a forecaster comment 3 props, but my requirement is 1. I need to see 1 prop of the week, your most confident prop at plus money. For an example, you can put Steve Erceg, knockout, hashtag forecast of the week. Another example would be Mullarkey, knockout, hashtag forecast of the week. The odds aren't out until Thursday, Wednesday evening maybe, so you don't have to put the odds, but you can put your most confident prop and expect it to be plus money. If it's not plus money, you will not be chosen as forecast of the week. If you give me 2 to 3 props, outcomes, you will not be chosen as forecast of the week. And if you don't put hashtag forecast of the week, you will not be chosen as the forecast of the week. So hopefully this week I see a ton of comments from forecasters giving their most confident prop at plus money, because before Friday I'm going to choose 1 forecaster's comment to represent the forecast of the week and bring home big bags to the fight fiends and forecasters. I appreciate everybody's comments each and every week. It helps with the algorithm. I really appreciate it. I'm interacting with yous, commenting back. And before you go, please comment your most confident prop at plus money. Put hashtag forecast of the week. And smash that like button and suplex the subscribe button before you go. We're getting some big bags in Brazil. And I'll be right back to do another show Thursday night or Friday night. So don't go far.
This is not over.